Lene, was there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, please remove Tabitha and Jill's parental fee policy item. They'll be bringing that at a later date. That's the only change. We're starting with Resolution 25-22 today.
All right, thank you.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Charlie.
And I second that.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? If not, Lene, please.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next is the approve the draft minutes of our February 18th, 2025 meeting. It's an action item.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Tim.
I'll second.
Thank you, Shane. Any other questions? Seeing none, Lene, please.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty, and we have Employee Appreciation Proclamation Day. Shane, do you want to?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a proclamation declaring March 7th, 2025 Employee Appreciation Day for Douglas County employees.
I'll second.
Okay, Tim, you got it. Lene, please.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty, at this time, then I'm just going to make I'll say Appreciation Day proclamation to our outstanding workforce of Douglas County. You are the core of everything we do. For those working directly with the public in keeping our roads and communities safe, helping families thrive, managing people, land, property, and records, we thank you. And for those behind the scenes working to keep the county running smoothly by managing files, procedures, budgets, paychecks, employees, and programs, we thank you. The residents of the visitors of Douglas County benefit from your diligence in producing exceptional results. We appreciate your dedication, creativity, and resilience, especially when faced with challenges. Simply put, this place wouldn't be the same without you. So on Friday, March 7th, 2025, we wish to acknowledge Employee Appreciation Day for Douglas County employees. During the month of March, we encourage our public to take a moment to say thank you for the incredible people who make this county a better place to live, work, and thrive. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All righty. I'm Jean.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I'm coming a little early this year, but not about the budget, just to report how we worked on the Housing Trust Fund that we all put together for those state affordable housing aid funds. Been very successful so far, so it's wonderful. We've had more spent in the new year of 2025 already. But to just kind of go down the line quickly, the smoke detector initiative, that's for landlords due to Section 8's inspection protocol being changed. We're requiring more smoke detectors. So to ease the burden on the landlords, we went ahead and put that in the Housing Trust Fund. And so the girls just carry around boxes of smoke detectors and hand them out as landlords need them. They've been very appreciative of them. It's a very simple thing to do, but it makes good relations, and we're glad that we can help out the landlords that are willing to house our tenants and work with our programs. The landlord repair program for Douglas County, that says 0 now, but we've issued a couple this year. We were working on them, so it's kind of a slow program to get going. Landlords weren't sure that it was something new. So now that they're hearing about it, I expect that will all be spent by the end of this year or maybe next quarter. Income restricted rental rehab, that's actually the Belmont just down the street. That's where most of those funds have went. That building is historic to Alexandria. We purchased it in January of 2024 and has a lot of neglected repairs that need to be done and expensive ones. But we have a whole new half of a foundation on that building. Looks great. New windows, new siding on the back. This year we expect a new roof. stucco repairs. We expect to fix the porch on the front, so it's gonna look great when it's done, but it'll take some time to get done. But we're getting there. Down payment assistance was spent. We did that in conjunction with Habitat for Humanity, so that's 4 Habitat for Humanity homes, 1 in Alexandria and 3 in Meltona. So we hope to partner with them again. And then on the end, you'll see Pope County Landlord Repairs. We are the Douglas County, and the state housing funds were for Douglas County. In conjunction with working with Pope County, EDA, HRA, they actually donated 30,000 of their SAHA funds to our housing trust fund to cover landlord repairs for the program in their county. So that was really a great partnership there, and they can plan to continue doing that. And that's kind of where it is right now. I just want to let you guys know that probably in August, I'll come back with our regular budget, but also the Housing Trust Fund policies we need to change because the funding amounts are now less. So the first 2 years, we were given $125,453 a year, and that was because there was a surplus built up. This next year, we will only get $51,735, about half, more or less, for the next few years. I am writing a grant that goes in March 13th to, the HRA has funds set aside to put towards some of these programs that we're willing to put in the Housing Trust Fund as a match. So we're hoping the state will match us $150,000 in the trust fund, so we'll have an extra $300,000 in there. So we're working on ways to utilize that Housing Trust Fund to get more grant money to work on all of these things. And that's kind of the wrap up of that, if anyone has any questions.
Well, I guess I got just a question going back to your smoke detectors. Does that include carbon dioxide detectors? too?
Yeah, we just buy the combo, because you
Okay.
never know if there's gonna be, if it's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be
a good idea.
electric or gas furnace heat, so we just buy the combo, and that way
Yep,
it's
good
safe
idea.
all around, or in case somebody, I don't know, fixing their motorcycle in their house. Weird things happen.
All righty.
And then I just want to thank Tim and Charlie for the new appointments. I appreciate them. Matt and Sue are wonderful. They've started on the board a couple months ago, or in December, and they've been great.
Good.
Commissioner Rapp and Commissioner Schmidt, I think your guys are up this year,
Oh.
November, so be
Pressure's on.
thinking.
All right.
Thinking. You have a few years left before you have to pick somebody, but be
The
thinking
ones
on
we have are leaving, or they're not?
what?
Ones that we have are possibly leaving?
They are at the end of their tenure. They're only allowed 2 5-year terms, so they are both at the end of their last term of 10 years. If you get, like I said, be thinking of it, and we do like to do an interview and run a conflict of interest forms prior to putting them on the board, just to make sure that they understand what we do and that they're comfortable with, being on our board and fully understand it. And then, like I said, the conflict of interest, just for propriety's sake, yeah.
Would you be so kind to send me an email on that, please?
Yep,
To remind me, or I'll forget. I'm getting old.
I might forget too. 'Cause-
Thanks.
No, I will send you an email.
Okay, any other questions? Any? None? Well, then, thank you.
And then just after that was this housing kickoff. This is an invite for the county board, so we are having a housing study done. We have a new company doing it, and I have a feeling that we're really gonna like how they're doing this, but they're asking the commissioners, cities, townships, anybody involved in development for their area to come to this meeting to have some input before they dive into the housing study for us. Once the housing study is complete, then we'll have another kickoff meeting open to the public. So if you are free and available, able to attend, it starts at 7:30. It should be done by 9 at the latest. But just to see what input and what you guys, because this housing study would be available for some development purposes. So to see, what people think we need to know about the county other than we need housing. We need something more specific. What kind of housing do we need? Is it elderly? Is it family? Is it both? And it's going to differ between areas. So the only city it will not cover is the city of Alexandria because they already had one done.
All right. Any questions there?
All right, thank you
All
guys
right,
very
yep,
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Morning.
Good morning.
I guess it's my turn. My name is up there.
It is Ryan.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you are the West Central Egg Air Tent Caterpillar aerial spray
Correct.
person. And I guess the question that has came up about that is that you are spraying for tent caterpillars, and the concerns that I and others have is that that kills all butterflies as well.
Not necessarily. So it does work on all Lepidoptera species, which is butterflies and moths, but it only kills a caterpillar that ingests it. So
Okay.
if a butterfly is flying through and gets sprayed, it's probably not going to die unless it gets ingested.
Well, according to, we had
Robin.
Robin Trott here, and she was, I guess, a little more concerned about what it can do to any caterpillar, and just about every caterpillar turns into some kind of a butterfly.
Sure.
And so I guess the state park never will let anybody go in there and spray, because they said tent caterpillar is a natural occurrence. And so I guess the concern is that we don't think that spraying for these is in the best interest of the butterflies and that sort of thing. So I guess that's where it's at. You commissioners have any questions, go for it.
If I could.
Yes, go ahead.
So the areas that we spray are tiny. I mean, we might do, actually the last 2 years, I haven't done any spraying in Douglas County. Typically a lakeshore group will get together, maybe a half a dozen, hire us to spray. So maybe we're doing 10 acres along the lake. Tiny compared to the amount of area. These lakeshore owners have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for their property,
Yeah.
and they don't want caterpillars dropping off.
I get it. I mean, I get it, but just because you don't want a caterpillar doesn't mean that you should be able to kill butterflies. I mean, I noticed that when I was a kid, we had tons of butterflies, monarchs especially. You don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
So something's going haywire here, and I don't want to be a part of doing any more damage than we have to. So
I will argue that fact that the monarch butterfly is specifically eating milkweed. In the time of year that we're spraying, there's no feeding going on with the monarch butterfly. So, I mean, I just, I get your point, but we're not doing any damage to that butterfly population.
Mr. Chair, I got a question. What about regular caterpillars? Will it not, those are the ones that turn into butterflies, won't it affect them?
What kind of caterpillar?
A regular caterpillar besides the tent caterpillar.
Well, if they're feeding, but that time of year, I mean, it's early spring. I don't feel like there's a lot of caterpillar feeding. It's basically the tent caterpillars that come out first. But
Mr. Chair, I just got, what do you spray with, a plane or a helicopter?
airplane.
Airplane. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, any other questions that you got here? Because it boils down to, are we going to be part of that or not? I guess,
And really, the only reason I need commissioner's approval is it's kind of a gray area with the FAA, whether or not a lakeshore is considered congested area. People in our industry don't want the FAA to really define that, because they might consider a farmyard congested area, and then we'd have to get a congested area permit. So I'm kind of wishy-washy on whether or not I even have to get commissioner's approval for this, but I just go through the motions of doing that just because in the laws of the FAA, I have to have a government approval to get a congested area permit. So whether or not you guys approve this, I mean, spraying could still legally happen. It's just a matter
Well, I
of,
mean, if that's the case, I guess they can't blame the commissioners for the
yeah, that's your call.
end result. So that's where I'm at. I just think that in our day and age, we spray for, seems like everything, and you know, seems like if you live on a lake, if you spray for weeds, spray for bugs and fertilize and irrigate out of that lake, I mean, you're having an impact on that lake. And so just because you live on the lake doesn't mean you own the lake, it's just that you live on the lake.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to deny the request.
You know, I'll second that. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Kalina.
No.
Rab.
Yes.
Way.
Yes.
Meyer.
No.
Motion fails. Or Schmidt, I'm sorry, Schmidt.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
it's a yes.
motion denied.
I thought we had 3 yeses here.
The 3 no's, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion carries to not approve spraying.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, next we have Jessica Paler, and Neil Powers, U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay, I guess go ahead and start out the,
Very good. Thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Chair. Just wanted to congratulate Commissioner Way on your election. Hope to have an opportunity to introduce myself and meet you a little bit more here in the future. Is that too loud? Too close?
no, you're good.
Good? All right. Very good. For the board, my name is Neil Powers. I'm the project leader for the Fergus Falls Wetland Management District. Our office is located in Fergus Falls. We have administrative responsibilities for a 5-county area that also includes Douglas County. My apologies to the board for not having an opportunity to be here a couple of weeks ago when this matter came before the board for consideration. I had another commitment that morning and just couldn't be in 2 places at the same time. So I'm glad to have the opportunity to be with you this morning. My understanding is from that meeting that there were a couple of questions that came from the board in regards to the road right-of-way and our acknowledgement of the road right-of-way, the county ditch setback, and the duration of the easement as well. And so what we wanted to do is to provide the board with some background information before we answer the questions from the board. So we wanted to provide you with a copy of the easement contract. I believe that there was some questions in regards to the acknowledgement of other easements that exist. And so I just wanted to point out on page 2, actually I guess it says page 3 on the top, page 2 on what I have, but page 3, under C attached Exhibit A, it says that our easements are subject, however, to all valid existing rights-of-way for highways, roads, railroads, pipelines, canals, laterals, electrical transmission lines, cable lines, and all mineral rights. I just wanted to point that out for the board's consideration. We also provided a copy of the survey. If you've had an opportunity to look at the survey, there's 2 things that I wanted to point out. One, from a county road standpoint, you'll notice that in the center of the road itself, there are a couple of 100s, like 100 in there. That's the acknowledgement of the 50-foot setback on both sides. So that is something that we incorporate as our standard procedure whenever we're coming before the board from an acquisition standpoint, is to include the board's will and the county's authority to make that adjustment from a 66-foot right-of-way to a 100-foot right-of-way. So we acknowledge that. It's in the survey as well. There was also some concern about the county road ditch. And so while our conservation easement acknowledges that the county already has an easement in place, and our easement would be subservient or subject to that easement. I also wanted to point out in the survey that we have surveyed out the county ditch. It is not part of the easement. It is not included whatsoever. So I just wanted to point that out on there. There was also some questions about the conservation easement itself, and so I wanted to provide a little bit more information about that as well. That's actually just kind of in the PowerPoint presentation here, or the one slide. I wanted to point out just a couple things for the county board's information. One, the funding for this program is not a congressional appropriation. Congress does not allocate any funding to that program. It comes through the sale of duck stamps and import and excess fees associated with the guns and ammunition. So basically, hunter-driven, conservation-driven program. No federal tax dollars are associated with that program at all. This is a national program. It's not a state-level program. It involves numerous states across the upper Midwest, from Montana all the way to Wisconsin, south down to Nebraska, is all part of this national level program for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And this program was established back in 1958 by congressional authority. Congress set the parameters. Congress set the rules associated with the program. It is Congress's will that the Fish and Wildlife Service implement the program. And so while I know in other times coming before the board, there has been concern about the longevity or the length of the program. I understand that. I empathize with the concerns of the board. However, it's not within my purview to be able to change that. So that's Congress's authority to make those changes or adjustment to the program. And then the last document that I had provided is something that should be familiar with the board. I think I provided it a couple of years ago when we did a board tour. Essentially, it's kind of an FAQ document, frequently asked questions. What we want to do is, I wanted to just point out a couple of things there. One are the two different types of conservation easements that we have. We have wetland conservation easements that only protect the wetlands. We also have habitat conservation easements that protect both wetlands and uplands. I also wanted to point out that both of our conservation easements are a grass-based ag friendly in their approach. And there are some commonalities towards the bottom there under the bullet, all easements that are common to all types of easements that the Fish and Wildlife Service comes before the board for certification on. So probably the other most important part on that document is just my contact information. Should the board have any questions for me, concerns, whatever the case is, please always feel free to reach out to me at any point in time for further conversation or clarification that the board may have. So with that, I think Jessica has an introduction to make, and then I'll turn it over to the board for any questions that you may have.
Alrighty.
Morning, board. It's good to be back. Yes, I'm Jessica Paler. I'm the realty specialist working on this for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Again, Neil answered most of the information about what you guys asked last time. Again, our easement is perpetual, and the landowner will still own the property. They'll still pay property taxes. He has left out an area in the survey for his land so that he can build on the property and enjoy the property and be a part of your community. And he's allowed to hunt and fish and do any recreational activities on his property still. We just don't have any buildings on the easement itself. If you have any questions, we'd love to answer them.
Well, I'll make a comment, and that is that the concern is the perpetuity part of it, and I've got no problem with the people that want to do this, that are the current owners. It's their land. They want to do that. That's fine. But when it comes to 100 years down the road, if that land is no longer with them or their family, that this, in my opinion, is putting a restriction on something that 100 years down the road, it may not be the best interest to do this. And I'm all for wildlife and stuff, and like I said, the folks that own it now, if they want to do it, it's fine. It's the perpetuity part of it that I don't like. You know, just give you a little example. Our county road ditches were basically got started 125 years ago, and that was to drain water from point A to point B as fast as possible, and they've never corrected that when we know that that is not a good procedure to run water as fast as you can from point A to point B, let it get into our rivers and streams and lakes. And so that should have been corrected. I've been on the board, this is my 9th year, and they don't do anything about correcting the water flow from our county ditches, that it gets slowed down, get put into a sediment pond where it can, and there's a lot of places they could do that. So I guess my concern, it's if that landowner wants it, this is fine. It's the perpetuity part of it that needs to change. And you say only Congress can change it. They need to get involved, and I mean, I've contacted them on it, and I don't know what it would take to get that word of perpetuity out of there, because that's the problem in my estimation. That's all I got.
Mr. Chair, I echo that tremendously, and
Board,
I understand that, you know, the fact that we've had this conversation before, as you know, and I hate, and it's your job, I know that, I know what you're doing and everything else. The program is a very good program. It's phenomenal. And if it was not in perpetuity, it would be great.
Understood.
Because in 25 years, if the program is doing what you want it to do, let's continue it, and I don't think there's a board in the world that wouldn't. And to tell me that somebody in Washington, D.C. gives one rat's, you know what I'm talking about, what's going on up by Millerville, you know, and if they even know, and they're the only ones that can tell us that we could change it to that. I don't, you know, it's no different than what Chairman Rapp was talking about. We've talked about it with county ditches because of the county ditch program is why you're doing this. Otherwise, you would have had plenty of wetlands. I mean, in theory, think about it. If there wouldn't have been a county ditch program to get rid of the water in certain areas so we can ag it, a lot of these wetlands would have never left, correct?
Well, our mission is the protection, conservation, and restoration of habitat associated with migratory birds. So
I get it.
So-
Okay. And part of it, you know, and as an old hunter and some of the things when we talk about the rules, I don't like being limited to shoot one mallard where we get down to Arkansas and they can shoot 20 in one day. You know what I'm saying? So Congress didn't decide that, as we should all be treated equal then. That's state, different than the duck stamp money. Anyway, now we're chasing rabbits. The perpetuity is what I have the problem with, always have had, because things can change. My great-great-grandchildren should be able to decide instead of us making these decisions for them.
I appreciate that. And the landowners are present today. So I'll
I have nothing to, I think that's fantastic that they're interested in doing this. I mean, like I said, I love to hunt, and we need wildlife, we need areas. It's unfortunate we have to have and restore things that we've destroyed. That's part of it.
And I'll make another comment, is that our wildlife management areas that we have today, all of a sudden, they decided that it would be good to pasture them. And now we've got livestock going in certain wildlife management areas that in my opinion, it certainly isn't in the best interest of nesting birds, but they did it for, I guess somebody got a brainstorm about that one. But anyway, again, this idea, if the landowners want this, I think it's fantastic. They're the landowners. But to tell us that we have to put this in writing forever, and that the people, like I said, 100 years down the road, we don't know what 100 years is going to bring. Look what the last 100 years did. Holy smokes. So that's the beef right there, is that they got to get rid of that word in order for it to make sense to me.
Mr. Chair, I got a question. Neil, does this open it up for the public to hunt then too? Or is it just for the landowner?
Thank you, Commissioner. So the question was, does this open the property open to public hunting? It does not. The landowner maintains those rights. So this is a limited interest conservation easement. It protects just the wetlands and the grasslands. And in this particular case, the Carlsons can still conduct haying activities after the 15th of July. So without restriction, you can hay it as many times as you want after the 15th of July.
And
So
the
then I had another-
Carlsons also have the opportunity to invite others to hunt on their property as they see fit as their private
But
property.
most of the time, they keep it private.
Yes.
Makes sense.
They could.
I understand that. So my next question is, why do you got to get permission from the county then if this is a U.S. wildlife?
So unlike other conservation easement programs, those that might be by other federal government agencies, the NRCS, or through state conservation agencies, a long, long, long time ago when this program was first developed, there was an agreement between the Fish and Wildlife Service and the director of the DNR that the Fish and Wildlife Service would go through a procedural process that would include county certification. The final thumbs up or thumbs down approval comes from the Land Exchange Board, ultimately. But the certification process essentially is an opportunity for us to have a formal conversation. So I come before county boards, we have a conversation like this, we talk about what the concerns of the board may be. I try to alleviate those things, and then the board has that opportunity to, from a local perspective, to provide their input. So we're following through on a procedural agreement that's 60 plus years old, and we continue to do that.
Mr. Chair, I got a question. You have them three circles there, 415, G, G2, and G1. Are those for building sites, or what are those?
Those are the track numbers.
The track
The
numbers.
track
okay.
numbers, yeah.
And then up on top in Lot F, Kirkowski subdivision of Mud Lake, is that still owned by the Carlson? In that top corner?
Yes, the landowner owns that part of the easement that is in this survey, that Karkowski
Lene, it's on
the
this
subdivision.
one here.
Yep. Yep, that's all land he owns in his deed. It is his land. It's just, that was what it was referred to, and our surveyors always put some of those.
Okay, because I was
names in
just
there.
wondering if it was somebody else's
Nope,
land that was
he
part
owns
of
that
this.
land. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I just have to make this comment, and that is, I've been on the board for 9 years. Topic has come up for 9 years, and it hasn't moved anywhere. And to keep doing this isn't going to fix it. I know the landowners, I don't have a problem with them doing it. It's just that word perpetuity is forever. And I don't think we can regulate that. I don't know why we should regulate 100 years down the road. I just don't get that. So I guess I'll leave it at that. And commissioners, what do you think?
I'll make a motion to approve the habitat easement for Andrew J. Carlson, ETAL.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any other comments? Oh, yes, go ahead.
This is Andrew Carlson. He is one of the owners of the property.
All right, thank you.
Hi, thank you for your time. I just want to give you a little bit of background on myself. I grew up in Douglas County, obviously. My father is here also. Lives a mile away from the property. My whole purpose behind this is exactly what you're talking about. My legacy with my family also. We did section off areas in the land for possible building site. So my future is very dependent on this land because I want to retire up in this beautiful county that I live in. And I want my children to have the opportunity to own land that they can use for hunting and fishing, because that is a very important part of my life. And, I'm a conservationist. I love to restore that.
Yep.
And so my whole goal is to have this in my family. And that's what I want from this.
I get it, and I have no problem with that. I think it's great. But for you to decide for the next, beyond your family, that this is going to stay like this because you decided, now you're deciding for somebody else beside your family. Do you follow what I'm saying there? I mean, you're making decisions for the people in the future, and that to me, I just don't know how we can, how I can do that. I mean, I just don't understand how we can make a decision that this piece of land here will follow my rules or what I want for the rest of eternity. That to me just seems unreasonable. For you, it's great, I applaud you for it, but I just say that we can't, how can we make decisions for people down the road? I mean, things change, and look at how farming has changed in the last 100 years. It's dramatic, and I just think that for us to say, for someone in the future, that you can't do nothing here because so-and-so from 1920 or 2025 did this. I don't get it. So I appreciate it. I appreciate your information.
And I guess I kind of feel the way
Yeah.
that right now too, that my future is dependent on
Yeah.
what you
Well, like I
decide.
said, I mean, for your lifetime, it would be great if it was for your lifetime and your kids' lifetime. But things change. 100 years from now, that farm may not be in your family's name. Who knows? I don't know.
Mr. Chair, I call for the question, please.
Yes. All right. Lenny, please.
Rapp,
Be no.
Way,
No.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty. You got her.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. And Mr. Chair,
Yes.
every couple of years, we've had an opportunity to rally the board and our staff and get out and have an opportunity to see some of our projects. Gives us a chance to kick some dirt and have some of those more in-depth conversations about our programs and our partnerships within the county. I'd like to extend that offer to the board again. It's been a couple years. I think this would be maybe the third time that we've done that now in Douglas County, if the board's will is to try to get together again this
Yeah.
summer.
And I've had the opportunity to go on those tours, and what is done is fantastic. I'm not against that, what you do. It's the perpetuity part of it, that we can't make decisions for people in the future and make them, they have to be able to decide what they want.
I understand, Mr. Chair. I'd appreciate an opportunity to have some more dialogue around that.
Mr. Chair, one of the things, and I know they're not related, but they sure are. The CRP program worked out more for wildlife. Yes, it put ag land in rest, and they were paid for it. But the CRP program was for 9 years, 12 years, and things like that. And it worked probably better for wildlife. And we didn't need it at the time, for growing food. And I know you're going to tell me they're not related. They really are.
I was actually going to tell you, Mr. Commissioner, that CRP now has a perpetual option as well.
They what?
CRP has a perpetual option as well. Or
They
I shouldn't
do
say
now.
CRP, but the NRCS has programs that are also perpetual.
Yeah. And that is too bad. And that is too bad. I think you understand where we're coming from. I really do. I
do.
I hope you do.
I do.
And I don't think you just got a bunch of wackos here. Maybe one or two of us, but
Commissioner, I do appreciate your comments. I've been involved in this type of work for almost 30 years.
you've been at it.
And
your whole career.
I want to say I've kind of heard it all, but I most certainly understand where the board is coming from. And I would certainly appreciate the opportunity to visit more, maybe on a one-on-one basis,
I don't disagree. We're conservative, we're conservation people too. If you would advocate for the idea that it not be in perpetuity, renewable, 25-year, and after what this family's going to do to this property and everything else, it's probably never going to change, or should it? But every 25 years, a different set of eyes on it probably wouldn't hurt.
Sure.
And your area is going to grow. I mean, we're going to get smarter, we hope, as time goes on.
Certainly.
So, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, we got Tim Erickson next.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let's see if I can't get you back on schedule. First item that I have is a contract final resolution for SAP 021-608-023. Excuse me, that was our paving work from last summer. Both County Road 8 and County 25 are the ones that were in that. Central Specialties was our contractor. That project went very well. You'll notice that we did underrun that significantly, and that's a 6.19% overall contract underrun. The majority of that was because we didn't need quite as much riprap on County Road 25, which kind of led to that 150,000. If we didn't need it, we didn't put it in the ground. So with that, I would make the recommendation that we accept the completed project, authorize final payment to Central Specialties in the amount of $32,640.40.
I'll make a motion to approve 25-22 resolution, final payment to Central Specialties in the amount of $32,640.40.
I second that.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Next item that I have is another contract final. This is for SAP 021-609-015. This was our grading project in downtown Nelson. This one also underran, a little over 5%. Same type of thing. We kind of thought we were going to have to dig into more of downtown Nelson, and when we got into it, there was really only one block that was pretty bad. That also includes the $10,000 liquidated damages that we put on the contract that was failed to complete on time.
What did it end up being a day?
$2,500 a day, so it was 4 days. They almost made it. Jake and I had a chance to go to the Nelson City Council meeting last night. We were chatting with the city council there. They're very pleased with how everything turned out. With that, I would make the recommendation that we accept the completed project, authorize final payment to Joe Riley Construction.
Mr. Chair, I got a question on
Yes.
that. There's going to be one more lift put on that?
Correct. That's already under contract, so Central Specialties has that
Oh, they have that for this year?
for this year.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 25-23, final payment to Joe Riley Construction, the amount of $34,797.83.
Thank you, Tim.
I second that.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Next item that I have is a resolution in front of you for doing some intersection control out at County 46. So last meeting at the work session, we talked about putting up a four-way stop, County 46 in Nevada. This is the resolution that, if that's what you fellows want to do, this is the one that we would need passed. I have some concerns about doing this. I think if this is what we want to do, we need to throw everything that we can at this, as in flashing stop signs, flashing stop ahead signs, and even for at least a period of the summer, to put up a portable changeable message sign, because there's a lot of traffic that runs through there that does not stop right now. And if we're changing this on them, it's not the people that don't drive through here every day. The tourists are going to see those flashing stop signs and stop. It's the people that come through here multiple times every day that are used to not stopping. They're the ones that are going to have a crash at that intersection.
So you're saying then to put a stop sign up there, it would be a flashing stop sign?
I would put a flashing stop sign and a flashing stop ahead sign.
Correct. I think that's smart, yeah.
Mr. Chair, how much Do you have a cost on that or not? What it
So
would
I don't have
cost?
an estimate on those signs yet, but I'm gonna say somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 per sign. So it could be 10 grand for those 4 signs that we would need. I do have a cost for renting that changeable message board that I was talking about. For 6 months on that, they want 20 grand, which is considerable.
But does that have to be there if you put in the 4 stops, lighted stop signs?
So from my experience, even though they're flashing signs, the people that usually drive through there aren't gonna see them.
Well, I don't know how you can miss that. I've been to enough flashing stop signs, boy, it sure catches my eye. I don't know.
So when, for case in point, 2023, when we were building the roundabout, we actually made this a 4-way stop for the time being.
Yep.
And there was nothing that you could get to because we even blocked your way into Pilot from 46, and people were flying through this intersection. That same summer, we put 4-way stops on County 82 in Garfield, both at County Road 12 and at County Road 22. And we got phone calls from people saying, you need to put some sort of advanced warning because all of a sudden you come up to this, and our answer to them was, well, if the sign went down, let us know and we need to go put it up, but the sign is there. Oh, no, it's not. And it was. So people don't see them because they're not used to them.
Yeah,
even when
well,
they're
I'll
flashing.
just go back to, what is it, 27 and the Barrett Road, I call it, or the
114.
114. But where you, no, it's on Highway 27 there where we put in that, we're going to put in a roundabout there now?
This summer.
Yep. Okay, so I know when we blocked that off for, we put a 4-way stop in there. I mean, what went with there?
So we threw that changeable message board up as well.
Okay.
That's why I think that one has been successful. I also have a call into MnDOT because I know that roundabout is coming. And I asked, hey, you're gonna have 4 sets of flashing stop signs and flashing stop ahead signs. Could we get 2 of them? And I don't have an answer for that question yet.
Well, okay.
Mr. Chair, the question I got though, Tim, is you said you're gonna put a warning sign up also with the stop sign. So maybe you only need this other one for 3 months, because you're gonna keep the other one.
Maybe,
That's always gonna say there's a stop sign ahead.
right.
I still would like to see also the recommendation to slow that speed limit down to 45 from the roundabout. I know you said you gotta go to the state, but
Well-
you know what, it's our county, I don't know why we gotta go to the state. Just change the signs.
Because it's in statute, the statute is that, and if
They-
the board directs, we can sure
They
put
do it
that
to
in.
us all the time and don't send us any funding.
No, I understand that too. I have no problem, to answer your question, I've got no problem putting that forward to the Commissioner of Transportation if that's what the board's wishes are,
Mr. Chair, I just you said $10,000 for the 4 stop signs.
roughly.
What about the flashing yellow ones?
So that would be 2 flashing stop signs, 2 flashing stop aheads. We wouldn't put it on Nevada
Because they're used to
because they're
stopping.
already stop controlled.
Okay, I get where you're coming from. I thought you were gonna do it all the way around. And then the reader boards, you'd need 2 of them for,
The quote that I have is 9,500 apiece
okay.
for those. That's where I got the 20 grand.
For 6
So-
months.
For 6 months.
Yeah, so
What can you buy them for?
That I don't know.
check in?
If the lease is 9,500 apiece,
we might want
you might own a couple after a while, and then you don't have to do that.
I will check.
So Tim, what would it take to continue that 45 mile per hour speed limit from the state building to the roundabout? Would we have to do a resolution on something like that, or do we have to have the state do a traffic study?
That's what would take the petition to the commissioner, the traffic study. From the board making that request, we send all that stuff to them. They would go back and they would determine.
Because it doesn't really make much sense, so it should be 55 in that short distance and then 45 the rest of the way. Because half of it's 55, half of it's 45.
I actually tend to agree with that, knowing how everything has changed just in the 5 years I've been here, and especially when you look at where they turn from 45 to 55, you're not even past Douglas Machine yet.
No, and then you have the new warehouse out there too, and that's in a
Correct.
55 mile an hour zone.
And that would be something that they haven't looked at. And that was also prior to those roundabouts going in. So there's a good chance that could change.
Mr. Chair, I'd like you also to add from the railroad tracks over on 46, from there to Pioneer Road, we should slow it down there well to 45. So if we're gonna do it, we should look at both. Because you're gonna be construction on that this year too.
Correct.
Because everybody hits the railroad tracks and they pour on the coals and then they hit a red light. And we've already had an accident there, more than one.
So could you check into that 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on 46 there?
On both of them.
We need a motion for that?
We would need a motion for giving me the direction to do it.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Tim.
Form of a resolution.
That I
Oh,
don't-
intersection
that I don't
25,
know.
resolution 2524, would we include this in the resolution for the stop sign?
I think I would do them separate.
That's what I was thinking, but
So then it wouldn't be a resolution?
that wouldn't be a resolution, would it? Or would it be a resolution?
Well, I tell you what, let me go write a resolution. We'll bring it to your next meeting. Let's pass it at that one,
Okay.
if that's okay.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
So,
But if
will-
you're gonna do it, I'd like to add the other one, because it's on 46 all the way, from roundabout to roundabout.
Yep. Well, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2524, intersection control order.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Shane. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer. Motion carries.
I'll get some signs ordered.
Okay.
Okay.
Next item that we have is to approve a LiDAR contract for doing some culvert mapping. And so I brought Pat in here to kind of explain a little bit more what we're up to here.
Good morning, Commissioners. We had the county flown in 2022, I believe. Yeah, it was 2022 with LiDAR with 30 points per meter squared across the whole county. We do have that data back. This is kind of the next step in the evolution of the LiDAR data. Without these culverts, we can't do watershed modeling across the whole county. The roads kind of act as dams and kind of electronically back up the water in our modeling. So we want to map these culverts, so we got them, so we can use it to do some watershed modeling and help the county out. So
I'm going to take a half a step back here. So just a reminder, the LiDAR data, what it does, when they flew the county, they took shots on the ground, and what they actually put together was a topographic map. So they're shooting contours and they're figuring everything else out. And when they do all of that, you know, they have our roads show up. We don't know where those breaks are in the road for letting water through or whatever. So now they're going to go through, they're going to put those culverts into that model, and we'll be able to do watershed mapping, we'll be able to do hydrological mapping, that sort of stuff. So that's what this is.
So do you anticipate finding outlets higher than the inlet?
I hope not.
Okay.
You never know.
But eventually, we'd like to go back and, size the pipes and, maybe send a summer help out there and actually get the inlet and outlet elevations and all kinds of different data on the culverts, so.
Board's wishes.
I got a question on this. 37,700 was the price. That's for the whole county, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's all I got.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Charlie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Then that last item that I have on the agenda is to approve a GIS services contract. So we have our new GIS E911 coordinator set to start tomorrow. That is Doug. I believe his last name is Tom. I think everybody else says it's Thom, T-H-O-M. We're going to find out tomorrow when he starts.
Dome.
It could be one or the other. We're going to find out for sure tomorrow. But we're currently, we're taking Doug from Todd County. And right now they have 2 people that do this job. The other one's about to go out on maternity leave. And so Todd County is sitting there saying, hold on, is there any way that we can get some help here? So we had the contract pretty much for the services that we provide to Grant County, and we took that, we modified that, same type of deal. So that way, whatever hours he works for us, but doing their type of work, we turn around, we bill them. That worked out pretty well. And the only change to this agreement than that what What you see on the screen was the very last page where we've got a rate for the range. What they needed to see was the actual dollar amount. So that is actually 5411, which is what we're, that's the cost that we have in on them. So
All right.
the way we see it, our neighbors need help, and someday we're going to be the neighbor that needs help. And if we want our neighbors to help us, we better be willing to help our neighbors.
Got it. All right, board's wishes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Todd County.
Thank you, Shane.
Second.
Thank you, Charlie. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I'll be sticking around.
Thank you, guys.
We'll get you back on track.
Mr. Turner, Veteran Service Officer.
All right. So I just got two things for you. One is more just a request, looking for your permission to do another 5K this year, similar to the one we did last year. The route, I'm going to change the routes up. We had issues with the Y and them getting contacted, and they said yelled at. So we're just going to not do that, and we're going to start and end at Brophy Park. So then there's no confusion with the Y, and we're not ruffling any feathers over there. So we're looking for probably September 6th is the date. It's a Saturday, and then we'll, you know, if it's okay with y'all, we'll get rolling on all the stuff.
September 6th, you
Yep.
said. Okay.
Yeah, September is Suicide Awareness Month, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and there's not currently, well, at least last year, there wasn't any kind of event or anything like that in the county that noted that. And so I figured being veteran services and we being the county, also having police officers and the sheriff's deputies and all of that stuff, and people who struggle with mental health, I figured it'd be very, very wise to jump on that opportunity. And it's not hard to put together. We already pretty much own all the stuff now, so it's not going to cost us hardly anything.
Okay.
Maybe I put on there $1,500, and even that's probably an overshoot.
Okay, board's
Mr.
wishes.
Chair, I got a question. Did you talk to Brad about this? You got it okayed with him at the park?
Not yet, but I did last year, and he was more than happy to do
I just don't want bikes out there on the trail while you're walking.
Yeah, we'll, I'll definitely coordinate
Okay.
with Brad and get it all squared away,
Sounds
but
good. I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, thank you, Shane.
I second that.
And thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty.
And then the second thing I want to talk to you gentlemen about is, I've brought this up before, I've talked to each one of you about it. I want to make my office assistant full-time. Right now, she's 30 hours a week. Since June of 2024, I went back and I looked at her timesheets. There was only 12 weeks that she actually worked 30 hours. All of the other weeks, I've had to have her come in and change her schedule to meet the needs of the office. Whether that's, you know, covering for us being in trainings, meetings, whatever it is, I've had to have her come in more. And so what I'm looking to do is have her be full-time, that 37.5-hour mark, starting January 1st. And if possible, then also do a job reevaluation as well. And the reason I'm asking for January 1st is because we haven't started the budget process yet. And so if we get it in for her to be in January 1st, at least that 37.5 hours, even if her job classification comes back, then we can at least have her at full-time starting January 1.
Board's wishes.
And just so you guys know, I did do some kind of rough math. If her grade were to go up 1, she's a grade 3 right now, but if her grade were to go up 1 to a grade 4 at 37.5 hours, that's only an additional $10,000 a year for pay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Jake, is she full-time now, your assistant?
Rhonda?
Yeah,
Rhonda is. I'm talking about the office assistant.
I know. From going back, not that long, I'd just soon table this so we can take a look with Lee and some of the thing, what's gone on, not what's gone on, but you know what I'm saying in comparison for the last couple. We have a little time in the budget process if we can. I know so you can do an actual budget with us in August. I know what you're looking for, but
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to table this until at least maybe the April meeting.
April?
First, okay?
Roger that.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Charlie. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
All righty, it looks like we're skipping over Tabitha and we're going to Jill.
Right, the first item I have is just looking for a motion to approve bills totaling $460,194.46.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Thank you, Tim.
I second that.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
motion carries.
And then the second item is kind of joint between finance and Dave Rush. I'll let him speak a little bit to this, and then if you have any questions for me, be happy to answer.
Thanks, Jill. So what we're asking for is, last year in our AIS program, for many years, we've operated that program with carryover money from year to year. Part of that in our AIS prevention plan is that we need dollars set aside for rapid response to some sort of infestation. So we've had a balance that we've carried from year to year for that purpose. And if you recall last year, the discovery of signal crayfish in Lake Winona, we came to you and you authorized us to engage in that rapid response. And we spent upwards of $50,000, $60,000 to investigate if there were additional signal crayfish in the lake. And I will mention too, just real quick to tag onto that, because we have that in our plan and we had those funds set aside, we were able to act more quickly than the state was to try to get out there and identify and try to slow that spread if it was going to be the case. So I'm here today because of that rapid response activity and other activities in our AIS program. We've spent down that balance that we had. So what I'm asking for is in our zoning program, between excess revenue and unspent funds from last year, we have well over $100,000, and I would like if the board would carry over $100,000 so that we can replenish that balance for AIS purposes, so we have that money in there for rapid response and making sure that program remains solvent for now. I will remind the board, I think you're aware of the governor's proposed budget that we don't know what's going to happen with that, but they are proposing to cut that AIS funding in half. So, and I'm happy to answer questions if you have them.
Well, I guess I'll make a comment. That signal crab deal, from the get-go, I voted no on that because I think we really got took on that one. But I mean, I'm not against having some money set aside for a problem, but that signal crab one was chasing our tail, if you ask me, so.
Mr. Chair, and I don't disagree with that. I do too. I think that one crab over there might have been brought in by somebody individually, but whatever. The idea of we've got a pretty decent program going on with, with the people at the accesses and all that. We know what the governor's doing and everything else, so, and it looks like the AIS funding would be cut in half from the state. I'd make a motion that we put the $100,000 into that program so we can continue to do that. Education, still the whole secret, and keeping the boats clean.
Thank you, Charlie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions?
So I'll just say
Okay.
too that in the next couple of weeks, we'll be coming to you with our AIS operational budget for 2025. And the task force that advises us on that and staff, you're gonna see that pared back a little bit because of the governor's expected impact on that, as well as we just don't have the funding that we had in the past that we were able to carry over. So this will help, but we're also going to be more fiscally responsible. Not that we haven't been, but we're going to tighten that up a little bit.
Okay. I think we got it covered there. We got everything covered. Lene, please.
Kalina.
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Way.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty. We're going to take a 5-minute break and resume. Thank you.
Keep it short.
Okay, Dave.
I'm in somebody's seat. Good morning again. A couple items this morning. The first is we have 2 landscaper excavator licenses. Recommend approval of those.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the landscapers.
Thank you, Shane.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty.
So the next item, if you recall at, I believe, our last meeting, I'm sorry, it was a work session. I came and talked to you about a construction and demolition waste planning grant that we could be involved in with several other of our neighboring counties. I discussed with you the reasons why this is a good opportunity for Douglas County, given that we have very limited space left in our C&D landfill that's privately owned and operated. So I'm here today. The grant application is been prepared and ready to be submitted. And I'm asking if the board would approve me sending this letter, which commits us to being involved in this grant and planning process. And I will mention too that you'll see in the letter we have some commitment to some cost share with that. And we were just discussing before the break carryover dollars. Some time ago we carried over money in land and resource for planning purposes, and this is just the kind of thing that we would use those dollars for. So it will not impact our budget in land and resource going forward.
I will make a motion to send a letter of commitment for AMC District 4 Demolition Waste Planning Grant.
Thank you, Tim. I'll
I
second.
second that.
Okay, Jeff got it. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Way.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Not sure if I should be concerned about that. Okay. I have 2 other cannabis-related items. The first is we are making excellent progress on our ordinances for cannabis registration compliance and our land use zoning amendments. So I think it's appropriate for us, given the timeline that the state is on, that unless there's any significant issues, we should schedule a hearing for these ordinances. The zoning one will be heard before the Planning Commission, but this registration compliance and use ordinance, I'm gonna ask that we have that public hearing before the county board here because it's not a planning and zoning ordinance. What I was contemplating, if it suits the board, I understand at our next meeting, we have some evaluations, employee evaluations that'll take quite a bit of time. Why don't we plan for Tuesday, the 1st of April at the county board meeting?
Appropriate day for this. Yeah.
Did we get any comment back on our letter, comment letter?
No. I'm hopeful that we'll maybe hear something back from the state, but my assumption will be that they're going to move forward adopting their rules, which means if they do that here towards the middle end of March, fairly quickly they'll start issuing licenses for businesses that are not lottery bound. So we need to be prepared. So if we do hold this public hearing on the 1st of April, I'll probably ask if there aren't any significant things that come up at that public hearing that we adopt the ordinance and put it in place at that time.
Okay, board's wishes.
So move.
Charlie, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Shane. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Way.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And then Cannabis work group committees. I need to clear something up with that. Last year in, I think, probably October, maybe it was September, I came to you because we needed to put together a working group and have a couple of commissioners sit on that. And we did. You, as a board, appointed Commissioner Rapp and Kalina, and an alternate would be Mr. Meyer. And then we met and then split that group into two parts. One of them was we had a sub-work group, if you will, that started working on the registration ordinance. And then we had a working group that came out of our planning commission that was working on the zoning amendments. Mr. Kalina is the commissioner on the planning commission, so he sat on that work group that worked on the zoning amendments. And the work group that was working on the cannabis registration compliance and use ordinance, that Mr. Rapp sat on that, and then Mr. Meyer, because we could have two commissioners there, Mr. Meyer was sitting on that as well. So I think what we're looking for, just to clear things up administratively, is that the board would approve having Rapp and Meyer sitting on that work group for the registration ordinance. And of course, I don't think you need to take action for Mr. Kalina because he's already been appointed to the Planning Commission. So that's what we're looking for, I think.
Yep. Board's wishes.
I'll make a motion to have Rapp and Meyer sit on the Cannabis Work Group Committee.
Thank you, Shane.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Kalina.
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Way.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that didn't cause any confusion.
Nope.
So,
Lee, HR Director, Interim Coordinator.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Board.
Good morning.
So I bring to you an agreement I would like approved with our department, coordinator department, going through some structural changes in recent times and probably going forward in the next few months. I thought it'd be a good idea to bring someone in with some experience in employee development and leadership. And so the provider I've got lined up for that is Consulting Solutions by Yvonne Kinney. And the nice part about this is she has already worked with the law enforcement department, and the sheriff was kind enough to be here if you needed to hear some valid feedback on that. But I've heard myself some positive comments from both employees and supervisors. So it's nice to know that there's a track record already. The plan would be to meet with some staff members in the coordinator's office, meet with all the staff members. It would take 2 to 3 months. She would start with some individual, what she calls discovery meetings, where she can just kind of let each person unload, find out what they do, what they're good at, what they need from the team, and then move into more of a team sessions with the whole group. And then eventually a follow-up session as well to see if we're all indeed rowing in the right direction or the same direction. So again, if you needed more input, I'm happy to provide that, or the sheriff is kind enough to provide that. Otherwise, the action I'm looking for is an approval of this service agreement for $15,000 from the countywide professional service account.
All right, board's wishes.
I have a question, Mr. Lee. Would she be able to do like one-on-one with the employees as well after the initial consultation?
I think she'd probably monitor and adjust as it went. Her normal plan is the one-on-ones to start, but I would imagine, given my conversation with her, if something came up that needed extra attention, she would make herself available for that person, whether it be through phone or virtually or in person.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to have the coordinator, department team, and leadership training.
Thank you, Tim. I'll second that. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Rapp.
Yes.
Way.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have a
Thank you,
question.
gentlemen.
Oh, we got one question.
Lee, are you going to be able to give us our feedback from it as well to the board when you're done with this?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to that, actually.
All right. Thank you. Vicky,
Thanks.
please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
I've got one item for you. It's a liquor license name change. Eddie's Interlochen Inn is undergoing an ownership change, therefore, that new owner does need to obtain their own liquor license reflecting their licensee name. We did receive a valid application seeking approval for an on-sale liquor license for Steinbrecher Foods Incorporated, and they will be doing business as Interlochen Inn versus Eddie's Interlochen Inn. If approved, the new license will be effective April 1st. Criminal and background check has come back clean from the county sheriff. And then we also did receive positive response from both the county attorney and the Carlestown board. So everything's good to go. There won't need to be any kind of an addition to the approval. So
Okay.
just seeking motion for approval.
Board's wishes.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Charlie. I'll second it. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Way,
Yeah.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
All righty. We're going to move on to tobacco license. Board. No?
Change the name there also, ownership is what
Okay.
it wants to.
I'll make a motion to approve the tobacco license.
I'll second.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Tim. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yeah.
motion carries.
Thank you. So in the restraint of time here, we're going to just approve our per diems without going through the itemizing them. And Lene, you got any questions on that?
No payroll has audited these, Mr. Chair, and everything checked out. They didn't have any questions.
Okay. With that, need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve per diems.
Thank you, Tim.
Second that.
Thank you, Jeff. Anything else? Lene, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yeah.
Meyer,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, with that, we're going to start in with our city council from Alexandria. I thank you all for coming.
Morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Okie dokie. Scott Allen not present and Carl not present. Okay, we got three of them here. Good, good. Got Bill Franzine on my left here, Roger Thalman, and Nicole Mace. So we're here to go over a few items, informational today. And I guess, board, if you want to comment, we're going to do them in order. Let's just go with number 1, 2, and go on down there. So number 1 was Broadway Street reconstruction. That was our first item.
Mr. Chair, I was the one who put that on the agenda, just looking to see, I don't know who could, maybe Mike or Marty might even respond to it, just to look at what your plans were with Broadway. It was going from 8th to 18, and what we're going to do like you did downtown, or are you just going to rip it up and replace it?
I'll defer to Mike Weber.
Mike's not here. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's
there
here.
he is.
You didn't see the glare?
Good morning,
Good morning, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Appreciate you having us here today. It's actually a MnDOT project. Thank you for your inquiry, Commissioner Schmidt. It's actually a MnDOT project scheduled for 2028, and it will be a complete reconstruction of Broadway from 8th to 18th. In terms of how that's going to lay out, note. closer?
That way,
You need
can
to-
you hear, Tom?
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of final design, they're a long way from that yet. I did, yesterday, in fact, had meetings with 90 business owners up and down that corridor. It was a good day to be out on the street. And I hand-delivered invitations to a public open house, and I'm going to hand-deliver those to you as well here today. Public open house is a week from today, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the afternoon at your Douglas County Public Works building. It's an open house. There's no presentation during that program. The very preliminary drawings will be laid out on the tables, and both MnDOT staff and the consultant staff will be available for conversation at that time. As I say, a long way away from any decisions, but 2028 will come faster than we think. So, with your permission, Mr. Chair, I'll give these to.
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
thank
by
you
all
very
means.
much. Have one for each of you. So.
Okay. All righty. That answer your
Mr.
question?
Chair, I got one
All
question
right.
on that. Are you still going to have Broadway open and do half at a time, or how is this going to work? Or is Broadway going to be closed completely?
It's an excellent question. Undoubtedly, the project will be phased from north to south. We won't close Broadway, 10-block stretch of Broadway all at the same time. What those phases will be, we don't know yet, but the treatment will be much the same as it was downtown in terms of the ability to get to the front door of a business that's on Broadway. Even when there's construction in that phase, those businesses will still be open and accessible from the front side, albeit in a construction state. So maybe a temporary sidewalk there. The only time that won't be the case is when they're pouring the sidewalk right in front of that front door, and then they'll have to scoot in a back door or a side door or whatever. We're still working on detour routes, the natural detour routes up here to be Fillmore Street and Hawthorne Street, but still some detail to work out on that too.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
I have a concern. The way Broadway is set up, it's not meant for truck traffic like semi-truck and delivery truck to go through downtown Broadway. That's why we had the bypass, McKay Avenue and then County Road 45, I believe it is, that go around the city and access to wherever. We just had an accident downtown Broadway not that long ago, and so is there any way that to keep from semi-truck going down the middle of town? I mean,
The middle of downtown is still Trunk Highway 29, as you know.
Yeah.
And so that is a route that some drivers do need to follow. And I don't really have the background information on the truck that was involved in the crash that you cite. But we were very fortunate in that instance to not have anybody injured in that crash. A semi-trailer hitting parked vehicles and pushing them up onto the sidewalk and into a building. We were very fortunate to not have an accident there. In terms of routing, when a truck driver gets a haul permit, they have to lay out their route. Usually they don't have to come through downtown, but there are certainly some instances where delivery vehicles have to be downtown, or somebody who's going through to the north end of town has to come through there. And if they're unfamiliar with our town, they have to learn it pretty fast on the fly. We appreciate your concern. I will say this, that one of the results of that Broadway reconstruction project, which is 10 years ago, that was actually 11 now almost, we did that in 2014. One of the significant results of that project was an overall reduction in crashes of over 50% from the year before to any of the years after. So very successful in that sense.
Thank you. So maybe one more question for you on that, and that is there any truth to the fact of third and second becoming a one-way direction, one-way streets?
Not at the present time. No discussion being had on that at all. No, MnDOT does have a 3rd Avenue project scheduled for this summer, which will include a center median there that will restrict some of the turning movements in that corridor. So with that in the offing, there's no reason to pair that as a one-way.
Okay, all right, just a question.
Yes.
All righty, well, I think we've got that answered. We're going to move to cannabis. Big topic. So I guess, Charlie, you want to start off on that?
yeah, all my expertise on cannabis.
Yes.
Mr. Rush is here on our behalf, obviously with all the planning and zoning. And in the committee for the county, and I can't answer how many villages, other than Alexandria, not a village in the city, but have expressed where they want to maintain their own. Osakis, has Millerville said? Not yet, haven't heard. Anyway, the committee has met several times. The requirement by the state is county must allow at least 4 licenses. That's pretty much what the committee has resolved to approve 4 licenses. Can there be more? There can be, if the village, the cities or the villages decide. I guess we're on a wait and see what ends up. Marty, I know he can explain it a lot better than I can, has said that you're going to let planning and zoning pretty much dictate how many end up. So what I'm trying to say a little bit, Marty, is if you end up with at least 4 in the city, the county isn't going to worry about anymore, because then you already have the allocation that Douglas County needs.
Good morning, Commissioners. First, thanks for having us here again. Yes, Commissioner Meyer, you're correct. In the city's ordinance, which we finalized adoption on last month, there is some restrictions through the zoning ordinance in terms of zoning districts where these types of businesses are allowed. And then there are some spacing requirements, probably most noteworthy, that any cannabis businesses must be at least 1,000 feet from each other. And I think we're, as you mentioned, Commissioner, we're a little bit in a wait and see as well to see how many. I think the state currently has a application period open until mid-March. But certain types of licenses will require a lottery, and the ones that require a lottery, that lottery may not happen until May or June. We're really kind of unsure on that. But it's possible that we anticipate, if there are interested business owners that have an idea to locate within the city of Alexandria, we would anticipate perhaps as soon as mid-March having inquiries made. And then as the way the state has set this up, you have 30 days as a local unit of government to kind of certify if the location that someone is looking for meets the city ordinance and rules. And then we tell the state that, and then they go back and get their license finalized with the state. So that's kind of what the process that we're looking at. We don't have a specific restriction on the number of licenses in our ordinance, and we'll kind of see how this goes forward. There's a whole bunch of performance standards and things about security and insurance and those kinds of things that we have in our ordinance that they'll have to meet as well, in addition to all the state regulations. But we'll see how many end up actually stepping forward. And
it was nice of you guys to have that done before we got that far, so we piggybacked on that. And with that in mind, we're not looking to be the weed capital of the world by any chance. So that's why we did it in that fashion. Mr. Rush has got, like you said, the ordinances on where and how close to daycares and schools and everything like that. But we don't have a desire to have a whole bunch of them. So the minimum requirement by the state is 4 for our county. And like we said, I know each community or each incorporated village could control their own if they wish. Otherwise, they can defer. And most have just like the townships. I don't think we've heard from every one of them, but about 16 or 17 of them have deferred to the county and things like that. So anybody else have questions on the cannabis?
I think you covered it. Oh, just a second, Dave.
So, Mr. Chair, Mr. Meyer, yes, we are sending a letter out here in the very near future to the local government units in the county. We have received some resolutions from townships that do want to delegate their registration authority to the county, but we'd like to officially send that out. No Association of Townships meeting March 19th, so we'll be able to have some interaction with the townships there. I do have a question for the city folks. Thank you for being here. Appreciate this opportunity that we can have some back and forth. In the proposed ordinance that the county is going to bring forward, the work group has determined that it's beneficial that we treat low potency hemp products differently than the high potency cannabis products. So based on that, our ordinance is proposing we'll still register those retail sales, but they will be exempt from many of the other restrictions in our ordinance. And I was just curious how the city might be handling the low potency products.
Thank you, Mr. Rush. Yes, we are kind of treating them differently as well. You know, because with our current ordinance, before the state came into play, we license these businesses at the city level. So they are going to have some of the standards that we have in our adult use cannabis ordinance they'll follow, but some of the others, they'll be treated differently than our other, than full adult use cannabis, I guess for lack of a better term, licenses. So I think to me, it sounds like we're taking a very similar approach, or have taken, to what Douglas County is considering.
Okay, I guess we'll move to I-94 interchange. Anybody want to comment on that?
I think Tim was going to.
Tim?
Bring Mr. Erickson up here.
Mr. Erickson.
I'm the one who put that on there.
This is by Councilor Franzine, so I'm a little concerned about some friendly fire here. Yeah, so the interchange out on 94, I know since I've been here since 2020, that's been a lot of discussion. And I know even prior to that, there's been a lot of talk about trying to add another interchange somewhere through that corridor between Alec and Osakis. There's been a lot of talk about doing something at Bergen, and I know MnDOT's interest in that kind of ebbs and flows, we'll say. And as I kind of looked at our system and what makes sense for the county system, having something at County 17 is what kind of made sense for our system. Jeans Barn Road, right, Commissioner Schmidt?
Correct.
Okay. Got to make sure I'm getting the lingo right. So what I've looked at doing is I had some discussions with MnDOT, and I said, if we were to move something forward at 17 without looking at MnDOT's participation, without asking for anything out of the city, does that take away from anything in the future if you still want to go forward with the Bergen interchange? And they said no. So we could still do what we're looking to do at 17 without taking away from what I know is important to the county or the city or the community, and for how that impacts anything with Bergen. So with that, I approached the county board and said, you know, we're looking at projects for our sales tax. This looks like something that, since the bridge is already there, it would be a much lower cost for us to put something in to match in with what our infrastructure is. And we can take care of this kind of ourselves, so that in 15 to 20 years, when the community grows into that interchange, it's already there and it's ready to go. They saw that as kind of a boon for our community. That's kind of the direction that we're pulling. And so I know.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to add 50th Avenue too. You were going to acquire
Correct.
50th Avenue and
Correct.
blacktop that for access.
So 50th Avenue between County 23
Yeah.
and County 17. So that would kind of be another route to come back into the city and kind of help things out there. Now, my intention is to have the infrastructure in place and upgraded before we put that interchange online. So at 50th Avenue, we're probably looking 2032 at this point, but we'd be planning towards something, building towards something. That would be kind of the idea. Earlier this year, I know I did get an email from Shiloh Wall, our district engineer with MnDOT. He had mentioned that Senator Westrom is looking to propose a bill, and he's kind of back towards a study to look at either an interchange at County 23 or County 17. And once I kind of said, well, you know, the county's kind of already planning on 17. MnDOT is on board, and I think Senator Westrum's on board for, well, maybe rather than sending that money to go to the Commissioner of Transportation to do another study, maybe that money needs to come to the county, and that can cover the preliminary engineering work, the right-of-way, anything like that, so that when we're ready to actually put that in, legwork's already done. Now, granted, that's just a bill, which has to go through all kinds of other stuff, but that's kind of what Senator Westrum's thinking at this point. So we kind of wanted to make sure that everybody's kind of on board. This is the direction that we're pulling, and somewhere down the line, like I said, that Bergen interchange may still be able to come online, you never know, but we sit and do nothing, and in 15, 20 years, we'll need 2 interchanges and have none. And at least this way, in 15 to 20 years, we can need 2 interchanges and at least have 1. So that's kind of the idea that I had in mind. That's kind of the direction that the county's looking to pull.
Yep, I think it's a great idea, so I hope you guys can take a look at it, and ladies can take a look at it, but I think it'll be a great asset for the city, to be honest with you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment too. It'll help with, because I know Osakis complains about the semis driving through their town. Well, now they can take 17 to come up or whatever that way, so it might alleviate some of that traffic as well.
Yes. Okay, I think we covered it. All right, thank you. Let's go to relocation of the replica stone. Who wants to talk on that?
The guy next to you.
Charlie.
And Bill. And Mike. This is a great project because we're talking about, which we didn't know until just a recent history, that Mr. Weber's dad helped work on this stone in 1951, was it? The base for the replica stone. By changing the road, I don't know what year that was, Webb's. From 6th Avenue being closed off.
Yeah, in the 1990s.
In the 90s, for a lot of us, that the stone disappeared at that point, the city park, and everybody wondering what's all the problems we're having. Everything sits on railroad right away at that park and down at Big Holy Park. We'd like to see, the LGC committee's been talking about it. I got family that's been in the Ag Museum board for years. We've been talking about trying to get that stone down next to Big Holy for quite some time, and I think we have an opportunity to do that, but we do definitely need to work together. Mr. Weber's been putting a lot of time in with the railroad and the state of Minnesota. So maybe Mike can explain a little bit more what's gone on.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Mr. Chairman, as Commissioner Meyer indicates, we've spent some time on this over the last half a year or so. A lot of time, and actually a lot of time with the MnDOT staff and their freight and rail people from the MnDOT staff. We call that the rail bank people, but the good news is there's a series of good news pieces, but the good news is that the state of Minnesota and the rail bank people and the freight and rail people have no objection to the removal of the replica from its current location. So that had been a stumbling block for a long time. We had taken a run at this back in the 90s, quite frankly. We were hoping to move the stone. And at the time, we were advised by both the State Department of Transportation and their historic people and the State Historic Preservation Office. The stone could not be moved because it was a shining example of mid-20th century community boosterism. That's the language that they used in their letter. Could not be moved. And, the history on that, of course, is the stone went up there as a wayside rest when what we now know as County Road 82 and we used to know as State Highway 27 was actually US 52. When you went from Fargo to the cities, you went right by there. And so in the mid-1950s, it was a lot of big traffic, tourist traffic, certainly a lot less than that now. Yeah, no interstate, obviously, way before the interstate. So they have no objection to us moving the stone, which is a good thing. The issue is going to be where we'll be allowed to place it. As Commissioner Meyer indicates, the rail bank, which is where we have Big Ole Central Park. So we already have the Big Ole statue there. We have the kiosk there. We have the restrooms there. We have the American flag there. It's a site for the farmers market and the art market. It's a great venue for a lot of things. But it is as full as the state will let us get it, because under their permit from the rail bank side of the world, they can't allow any more intrusions on that site. So we have to be smart about finding an alternative site for it. The other thing the rail bank people said is their records indicate that all of that property on which the replica sits, that was all conveyed back to Douglas County when they turned back Highway 27 to the county. So they said, we aren't going to require you to get a permit to remove the stone or to restore the site, but Douglas County might. So we'll have to visit with your Public Works Director on that. We'll be happy to do that. So we are still looking for alternate sites, and if you've got any ideas, we'd love to have them, keeping in mind that the rail bank itself probably is not going to be the right or a possibility. So.
All right. Okay.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
righty.
Chair.
Thank you. We'll move to the very important one here, chicken ordinance. So,
I
Jeff?
suggested that, and I want to encourage you to revisit the ordinance because there's still a lot of interest of people wanting to have backyard chickens in their backyard. And there are cities in Douglas County that have ordinance to have chickens in their backyard. I know Osakis, Brandon, Evansville so far has allowed to have chickens in their backyard. There are also communities across the state of Minnesota, including in the metro areas. I have a cousin that lives in Apple Valley, and they've allowed her to have chickens up to 6. And so I know that there are concerns of chickens may escape from their home roost, and understand that chickens will return to their coops, their home to roost, so they won't go very far. And speaking from experience, and I raised poultry myself, I would be more concerned with a loose dog than a loose chicken. And then by having backyard chickens, it provides the educating opportunities for 4-H, FFA, and homeschool students to have some backyard chickens. So I want to encourage you to revisit that and go from there.
Okay, I'll just make a little bit more of a comment on that. I know the people that I've talked to that live in the city also would welcome that. I happened to just talk to a lady from Sioux Falls, which is a lot bigger town than us, and South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And she said that we have had it in our town for quite some time, and it's never been a big deal. So I think too that kids that live in the city, if they would be 4-H or FFA, would be able to get involved a little more with a project that has a background with, like I said, 6 chickens. Doesn't take a big space. And I guess from that, it's up to you guys, but I would like to see it maybe entertained for a trial basis. Check it out for a couple years, see if it absolutely can't be done, then I guess. But the other communities seem to be able to make it work, so I just think it's something that the kids in town are missing if they have an opportunity to do something like that. So, alrighty.
Especially at the price of eggs, you know,
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
more laying hens wouldn't hurt.
They're going to have to guard them. So, already, I think you got the point there on that one. It's number 6, ATV/UTV, use in the city. Anybody want to comment? I see we have some expertise back there. Anybody?
Commissioners, thank you for allowing us to be here again. I find this always enjoyable to come before you. I'll just touch briefly on this and then we can kind of dive into it. Several years ago, we went through kind of a similar thing with the golf carts. And we had to revisit the ordinance on that. Golf carts are used, you know, not just on the course, but throughout the community. So we've run into the same similar situation with the UTV side-by-sides. And because of the evolution of those, they have a lot of the safety requirements as our cars do. And so we have had people contacting us about where can we ride these legally? Where can we go? And you know, as the community has grown, as the annexation has grown, the city, we have people that are using these things to go back and forth, whether it's one of the eating establishments, the Zorbas or the Lure, even the meat market out on Nokomis. It's common practice. And so to look at this and jointly and say, okay, we need to revisit this and find out where we can go with these units, and then how do we do it respectfully with currently our ordinances, and then also get the input from those who govern that. That be the city police chief and his staff, the county sheriff, his staff, and I believe Mr. Holman is here from the DNR, which I appreciate very much, because he's going to have input on this as well. So at that point, it's really becomes a discussion as to where do we go jointly and how do we approach this to make it viable for these people that are purchasing these.
Sure. I guess, go ahead.
Do you still have certain streets for snowmobiles to come in on or not? So would it be possible to use them same streets for, you know, a UTV or ATV? Because they're a recreational vehicle?
I think, Commissioner Kalina, that's what we need to open up and look at and say, okay, what do we have in place? Do we need to change it? You know, as, again, the evolution of the community and the usage and road systems and everything else. So to your point, yeah, I mean, that's potentially an option.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Mr. Franson, my concern is some of these ATVs and side-by-side, they go over, some models, I should say, go over 50 mile an hour. And so what is the safe speed for going through town like that? I would recommend kind of keep an eye on that. And
I can go along that with you, Commissioner Way. They're no different than an automobile. You go over the speed limit, you're going to get visited. I wouldn't expect that.
And just a comment on the golf cart. I guess I've witnessed myself where elderly people can have used them to go to coffee versus a vehicle, because some of them don't have vehicles. But anyway, I guess I would like to be as cordial as possible when it comes to entertaining, especially the retired people, to be able to go to coffee or get the mail or whatever with a golf cart. But you know, I know safety is always is the main goal, and I know, like the little town of Carlos, I frequent that a lot, and the people, that's, I mean, quite a bit of their traffic comes in on golf carts or four-wheelers, so they're very friendly to it. But we're a little bigger city, but at the same time, I think, you know, if we can make it work, I'd be all in for making it work.
Well, the calls I've got was from Ali Services, who sell them.
Okay.
And their answer or question is, tell us what to do.
Yeah.
Presently, it comes without taillight signal lights on it. They urge people to put them on. And their comment is, require that to be put on and let's license it. Then they're good, but just give us something. Right now, there's nothing there, so it makes it illegal. So their comment is, if it requires signal light turn signals, no problem. Requires a license, no problem. Just let us know what the rules are.
Mr. Chair, I had a question. Mike and Bill, don't we have an ordinance for golf carts already, or you put something together? So I'm sure you can do similar to that.
Thank you, Commissioner Schmidt. Yes, we do. The golf court, so the state statute requires that the local unit of government has to authorize the use of these special use vehicles, whether it's an ATV, a UTV, a golf cart, they're all classed as special use vehicles. The local unit of government has to do that on its own streets, the streets under its jurisdiction. And so we have done that in the city on city streets. The comment that Councilmember Franzine is making here, of course, is that not all the streets in the city are city streets. some of the significant ones are county state aid highways or county roads. And ultimately, that decision whether you're going to allow these vehicles on those county roads, whether it's County Road 82, County Road 11, County Road 42, which is North Nokomis, going by the Lure and Zorbas, as we talked about, or any of the other county roads in the city, ultimately that decision is going to be yours, made in conjunction with your Public Works Director and your Douglas County Sheriff. So, yeah, it's important for us to work together. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I guess number 7 here, APD flock camera system.
I get to go if you pass the chicken ordinance.
All right, here we go. We got the chief of police coming up here.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us here this morning. Just a quick update. Last week, it's been a little over a year that we've been in discussions, evaluating, looking at, researching, and we've went through a couple different iterations on what a license plate reader system looks like, cameras throughout the city, and we've been working with a company by the name of Flock Safety. They've got a unique relationship with the BCA, Department of Public Safety in the state of Minnesota. So we did a lot of research and vetting on that aspect of it. What we presented to City Council last week was 9 license plate readers and 2 pan tilt zoom cameras strategically placed in the areas where we're going to have a lot of commuting traffic in and out to capture license plates. What those license plate captures are going to do is look for stolen vehicles, look for Amber Alerts, look for suspect vehicles. So it's kind of a perimeter, kind of a check line, if you will, of people coming and going. We'll be able to research that in our criminal investigations to see if people left, which way they left, or if they're in town. There's one case that we had last year in 2024 with an ATM situation at a local bank. The vehicle that was used was a stolen rental car. Had we had this in place at that time, it would have alerted our officers in the squad car within 20 to 30 seconds of that vehicle hitting that license plate reader. So it wouldn't have told us that they were going to the bank, but it would have told us that we had a stolen vehicle that just entered our community. The question is it going to deter traffic or deter criminal activity coming up and down the interstate? We really hope so. This is a system that's been built. I can't speak to how far into Wisconsin on 94 it's been built, but we know that it's got a really strong hold down in the Minneapolis suburban area, all the way through to Bismarck, North Dakota. St. Cloud has several of these. Moorhead, Fargo, West Fargo, they're building the infrastructure as we speak, and we fit right smack dab in the middle of it. I don't know that Fergus Falls has any interest in it right now. However, we're on that major corridor to be a part of this system. It's a very integral system that we can tap into. We'll have access to it, and we'll be able to look at nationwide searches, statewide searches. We have 50 agencies, communities in the state of Minnesota that are already signed up in implementing a combination of license plate readers and/or cameras. So,
all right. Any questions?
I got a question. So when you're going through the intersection, say there's 2 cars side by side, it can pick up both them license plates, and if there's a violation on one of them, it'll report it to your office or to the patrolman?
They're going to have to be strategically placed. We're really largely picking up one-directional traffic. We're not going to put them in an intersection to capture all the intersection traffic. It's going to largely be single-lane usage, capturing those coming in or out of the community.
Okay, thank you.
And if there's an alert, if there's something that that license plate has been registered, or that license plate for whatever reason in a statewide or nationwide data bank, it will alert our officers.
That's pretty technical.
Yeah, this is a struggle. I've made this comment before. Public government, public entities, we're way behind on what the technology has to say. And this is new and cutting edge for us, Alexandria, Douglas County. But Flock Safety's been around for the better part of 8 to 10 years. So it's not new technology, it's just new to us. And we're catching up, and it's, the return on the investment. The mayor asked me at a work session, what's the return on the investment? That's really hard to capture return on investment in public safety. As you know, The police department, sheriff's budgets are some of the largest budgets for each of our governing bodies, and it's really hard to say where's the profitability on that. We don't look at it as profit. We look at how do we protect the safety of our communities and how do we ensure that safety. We can't ensure it, but we can sure put a lot more effort towards it. The return on the investment, if we have 9 license plate readers strategically placed capturing that data, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, none of us can afford the cost of people and personnel on that. Annual operating, I'll plan on taking that out of my operating budget. It's going to be about $33,000, $35,000 a year just to maintain this system, and I can't hire a part-time person, part-time police officer to cover that cost, let alone what we'll be covering with that money. So to me, when I look at technology versus people, this is a huge investment to our community, but it's also not investing that many more staff and salaries and benefits. So when you weigh it that way, it looks a little bit different.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
I think one thing, Perry, I asked the question, could this system be used for facial recognition? If it takes a light plate, can it do that? And the answer was no, that takes a complete different system.
Okay.
So this is strictly, as the chief said, for license plates only.
Okay. Like out of date ones, like they don't have the sticker on, is that the stuff, or are you looking at the big stuff? I mean, like if you don't have your 25 sticker on, is that what, would that be one of the things you're looking for?
We'll have to evaluate. There's a lot of drop-down boxes
Yeah.
to check on what we can get alerts from, and we're going to have to see how much data we're actually getting fed to limit some of that. So the capabilities are really deep. Mr. Franzine asked me at the council meeting last week, is this the same type of system that's been advertised down in the metro? They're putting speed cameras, they're putting different cameras down in the metro, and it's catching some newsworthiness. This is not that system. These are not speed radars. We're not writing tickets for stop signs, semaphores, and speed. This is just simply collecting license plate data. And if there's any way to go, and then we can go back on that investigatively. So.
All right, thank you, thank you. All righty, we got one big one here left, Regional Sports Complex Feasibility Study. Anybody want to elaborate? Who did that?
I did it.
There you go. So, go ahead.
You know, we both invested in this, and just basically touching base. Where does it stand? And I know that there's another entity that's not here, but had you heard anything going forward on this, Charlie?
I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Seymour for just a few minutes the other day, and he hasn't done any more than we have. And that's somewhat what we've, when we get together, maybe next Wednesday, we need to talk, because we're not going to get anywhere until we try to figure out a location and go from there. And I know you've got
a comment too. I
Go
was thinking
ahead.
the same thing. Maybe we should invite Jeff and Seymour and all the people that were involved in that to one of our LGCC meetings in a couple of weeks. Not the next one, but the one after probably. Talk about it at the next one. Let's bring them into the next one and see where we're heading with it. Because who was the other gentleman that was behind that? I don't remember his name either. And let's get them all in there and I like your thinking, Bill. I do.
What? Oh, Kraft, maybe?
Kraft, yep.
Yeah, there you go.
James? No, we need it. Yeah,
I agree. We need to get some
we
answers on
threw money at it just like the city did and everything else to, we know there's a need, but everybody's standing around with their hands not in their pockets, as you found out with RCC.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming. Appreciate, we need to do this like we've talked a couple times a year. And
I was just going to add, Commissioners, tomorrow, Marty, their legislative committee meets at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. We are going to have that discussion with the ATV, UTV. So I know Chief Kent is attending, Sheriff Wolberson, Mr. Holman. I think we need to address this, have conversation, and invite any one of you, if that's okay, to get some traction on this. So,
Well, I think that's great. Again, any other comments you folks got? Thank you
for having us.
I know we ran a little over time, but that's why we put you at the end of the list here, so.
We appreciate that.
We could stretch it out. But anyway, I think this is great. I guess it's something to think about, and we'll hopefully make some progress. So, thank you all for coming. There is coffee and cookies over there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, and when these guys are done, they're done. So I guess items from the floor. Anybody have any comments? You got 3 minutes if you do.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All righty.
I second that.
Thank you. Lene, please.
Way,
Yeah.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Motion carries.